Pain reminds you the joy you felt was real. Blade Runner 2049 is directed by Denis Villeneuve and it stars Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Robin Wright, Armas, and Jared Leto. Before I go any further into this review, I just want to assure you there will not be any plot spoilers in this review, specifically for this film. This is the sequel to the 1982 sci-fi noir cult classic Blade Runner, which was directed by Sir Ridley Scott and starring Harrison Ford and Sean Young. In this film, we follow the young Blade Runner and Ryan Gosling's character Kay, who is hunting down older models of replicants when he unearths something that is rather mysterious and life-changing. And as the film unfolds, we learn what this thing is and how significant its meaning is, and also why a lot of people want it for specific reasons. I'm not going to bury the lead in this review at all. I'm going to come out right now and say this. As of right now, as I'm doing this review, this is my favorite film of 2017. I was simply floored and astonished by what I saw in this theater-going experience. Once again, the combination of Denis Villeneuve as director and Roger Deakins as cinematographer delivers some of the most astonishing visuals I have ever seen in a film. This film is just perfect in every frame. The lighting, the shot setup, the shot selection, the mise-en-scène of every scene, the special effects in this movie. Everything aesthetically in this film is incredible. And I also recommend people seeing this on the biggest screen that you possibly can with the best sound that you can. Hans Zimmer provided the score for this film, and it gives this film such an ambiance and a pulse, and it's constantly there looming in every scene, and it's an incredible mesh of filmmaking techniques, which I think a lot of film fans will appreciate greatly. And I also want to say that the acting in this film, I think, is really, really good. Ryan Gosling, as the main character in this film, Kay, goes on a character journey, and it's an introspective character journey as well as an existential character journey, and the emotions and things that Ryan Gosling has to portray on film is something that is incredible because he's not given a lot of dialogue. He is an actor whom I've always commended for being extremely adept at delivering great performance without a lot of dialogue. He's able to emote a lot of things, use a lot of body language, and you can see so many things in his eyes that you don't see in a lot of other acting performances, and it's one of the best performances I've ever seen from Ryan Gosling. Most of what the film is trying to express you can find within his character, and it's really fascinating once you delve into it. Also, Harrison Ford reprises his old role as Deckard from the 1982 film. I don't want to say anything specifically. All I'll say is that Harrison Ford really, I would say, committed himself to this role, definitely getting back into that Deckard mode and definitely involving himself in this world of Blade Runner. And one of the other most positive things I can say about this film is what Denis Villeneuve and his production team did was expand the world of Blade Runner in an entirely new and masterful way that I had not expected to see. This is a $150 million mainstream film, and it definitely shows in its production because it is massive and it is impressive. We see different locations within the Blade Runner world, and we just see how humanity has evolved over time, or in many cases devolved over time. One of the main things I think this film constantly shows us is where we are possibly heading as a species and as a society, how we are becoming so dependent on technology and constantly pushing that agenda forward that we keep losing our connection with nature and the organic world, and we also sever our ties to a lot of the things that make us human. And one of the things that's constant throughout Blade Runner is this question, what makes humans humans? What makes us us? And the film doesn't give us the answers straight out. The film gives us possible answers, but it's up to us as an audience to discuss it with one another and try to interpret certain things. It doesn't spoon feed you anything at all. This film is extremely patient, it's extremely slow, and we're constantly going through this plot as it evolves organically, which is incredible because not a lot of films do that. A lot of the films rush the plot along just to get to another action beat, or just to get to another plot point, and nothing is really taking its time to develop. And I know a lot of people will complain that this film is too slow, and nothing is happening, and just get to the point already, and all of that. This film is 2 hours and 40 minutes, so I can understand why people have that type of feeling. But for me, as a cinephile, for me as someone who loves film as an artistic expression, I was fully locked into this film, and I didn't feel that runtime at all. But I can understand if other people did feel it, and I can also understand if people have complaints about the overall plot of the film. The film has a lot of basic plot tenets that we've seen before in other films, but what is interesting is that it uses those basic building blocks in its plot to give us massive amounts of depth when it comes to the philosophical concepts that this film is going with. If you're going into this film thinking it's going to be a mainstream blockbuster film because of the A-list actors and because it's put out in thousands of theaters, this is not that type of film at all. So with all that being said, I'm going to give this film a rather high score of 4.75 out of 5 stars. It is incredible on a filmmaking level. The visuals by Roger Deakins are extraordinary. The direction by Denis Villeneuve is incredible, and I just love everything about this movie, and I highly recommend it to people who are looking for something that is different than all of the other mainstream things we are getting today. That has been my review of Blade Runner 2049. If you like this video, please check out the other videos on my channel.